Hey guys, Isabel here. Welcome back to Reeled In. So today's video, it will be another breakdown video for Amazon's The Rings of Power. I know I got my first episode 1 and 2 Rings of Power breakdown out really late, like the third episode had already aired, even though I had recorded the Thursday before. Life got super busy, life is still super busy, but I'm trying my best to get this out before I watch the next episode. It's currently Thursday night. I'm hoping to get this out there by like Friday morning, which is also when my reaction will also come out to the fourth Rings of Power episode. But let's focus on our breakdown. So like episodes 1 and 2 focused a lot on the Heartfoots, the dwarves, and the elves and the Southlands, this episode 3 focused a lot on the men, specifically the realm of Numenor. And then instead of focusing on the wider culture of the dwarves and elves and everything, this episode started to focus a bit more on individual characters. So we open up on Arendelle, who has been captured by the Orcs. They are what I believe to be terraforming the Southlands to eventually transform it into Mordor. We also get the introduction to Elendil, who is Isildur's father. Throughout dialogue, we get many hints to his connection with elves. Elendil is actually connected to the elves through Elrond and Elros. Elros is Elrond's twin brother, and he actually founded Numenor. As we get this sweeping view of the sprawling city, I believe this statue here is actually in Elros's image. Fun fact, Numenor was actually given by the Valar. If you guys haven't seen my episode 1 and 2 breakdown, the Valar, you can kind of think of them as celestial elven beings. Sort of like angels, in a way, if you guys are religious. They basically pulled the island of Numenor out from the sea, and they also gave the Numenorians longer lifespans. So Numenorians can live to be about 200, give or take 50 years old. And all this was a reward due to the Numenorians helping in the War of Wrath. Now, Numenor will eventually face a pretty devastating downfall, and I really am hoping to see it in this series. I believe the reason why they're building Numenor up so much is so it's gonna hurt when it eventually falls. But in Numenor, we see a white tree, and hopefully it reminds you of the dead tree in Gondor, which was actually taken from a seedling from one of these white trees and planted in Gondor later on. So the white trees actually do come from the same type of tree as the two trees of Valinor. They just don't give off light like the two trees originally did. And another fun fact, the white tree will actually lose its petals when it senses evil nearby. We do see some flowing white petals in the trailer, so maybe that will hint to something nefarious in the future. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Halbrand. It's currently been teased that he may become the king of the Southlands. That's where his heritage seems to be from, and it was sort of a confirmation that's where he's from, that's his ancestry, but you know, could also still be a misdirect. But if Halbrand does become a king of the Southlands, it's also possible in the future he could become a ringwraith. I know he was on many people's lists on who they thought Sauron was while he's in hiding, but I personally don't think Halbrand is Sauron in disguise. I don't think we've actually met the disguised Sauron yet. In fact, we may not meet him until a couple seasons later. Another theory is that Theo, Bronwyn's son, is also the son of Halbrand. And if Halbrand's ancestry is true, would also mean that Theo could possibly become king of the Southlands himself. And then consequently also a wraith. And judging by Theo's connection with Sauron's old sword hilt and the fact that his own blood is being used to slowly reforge this sword, I think that theory holds a lot of weight. That's mine anyway. But moving on, we meet Isildur, who we know in the Third Age will fall victim to the One Ring of Power as he almost defeats Sauron. We are introduced to his sister, which is a new addition. She is actually not a character in the books, so I'll be interested to see what Amazon does with her. I'm hoping she'll be a very interesting character. She has just gotten accepted into an architecture guild essentially, so perhaps she'll be building something or constructing something or even planning something important. And as Galadriel and Elendil are in the Hall of Records, we get confirmed that Sauron's symbol is also a map of the Southlands. The terraformation of the Southlands into what I believe will be Mordor is sort of a contingency plan of Sauron's in case Morgoth was ever defeated, which he was. And that contingency plan is to create a realm of his own. We also get reference to the Black Speech, which we will later know to be the Black Speech of Mordor, the language spoken in Mordor and also the language written on the One Ring of Power. And then we quickly check back in with the Heartfoots, who, as the episodes go on, I am actually falling in love with them. And I think their storyline will set up a friendship between the halflings and this stranger who I think to be some sort of sorcerer or wizard, and would definitely add a connection to the hobbits and how Gandalf is so fond of them. Do I think the stranger is Gandalf? I'm not too sure. Honestly, I think the reveal of this stranger is going to blow our minds, but that's also a very big retcon of the timeline. I know the timeline in this series is compressed, but Gandalf came in the Third Age, and I really don't think Amazon would do that. That's a big push, I think. But I think we're also setting up Nori's part to play in this story as she helps the stranger find his missing constellations, which I think might also be another map. I don't know where the map is going to lead to. I hope it's not the Southlands because little Nori, I'm nervous for her. Muriel, the Queen Regent of Numenor, visits her father who is locked away in his tower, essentially because he was still friendly with the elves and the elves' way of living. She says this:
"It is here, Father. The moment we feared. The elf has arrived."
Which could mean there is a prophecy in regards to Galadriel or any elf who decides to visit Numenor. Remember, Numenor will fall eventually, so perhaps this could be the start of the end, essentially. Or perhaps Muriel could be referencing another elf who we have not seen yet, but is on the island. Whether this elf is Sauron himself or another fallen elf that wants Numenor to partake in something, I don't know. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think Muriel was talking about when she said that to her father? And then in the final scene of this episode, we get elves versus orcs. And we can see the orcs actually burning in the sun. These orcs are different than the Uruk-hai we see in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies, where the sun does not bother them. And it explains why these orcs have been tunneling underground and keeping cloths over their heads to keep their sun from reaching their skin. And also explains why they don't yet have protection, another reason why building Mordor is so important to them. It's a realm of blackness, of darkness, where the orcs can't be touched by the sun and are therefore protected. And at the end, we finally get a blurry image of Adar, which, I'm going to be honest, I did think he was Sauron in his deceptive form. There is a part of me that's I'm still kind of inclined to believe it. But after rewatching the episode many times, I have a feeling he may not be Sauron himself, but perhaps a left hand of Sauron. He's obviously a fallen elf, and I'm sure we will learn a lot more about him in the next couple of episodes. But guys, that was everything I saw in the third episode of the Rings of Power. Did I forget anything? Didn't touch upon anything? If you have other Easter eggs and breakdown thoughts, feel free to leave a comment. I love hearing your guys' knowledge on Lord of the Rings. But leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future Rings of Power reaction videos, as well as Rings of Power breakdown videos. I may not get to the breakdowns for every episode, but I will certainly try my best. And soon I will be doing a Lord of the Rings merchandise review, so if you like those kinds of videos, feel free to subscribe. But guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.